All right, so for mini test 2, my strategy that I do, I always look at the answer choices first, and I see every day, hyphenated, every day, and then every day. 2 of them have commas, so I know that it's actually testing me on 2 skills. Okay? Every day, do I know what version of every day should be used, and whether or not to use a comma. I know it's not going to be G. Okay, and I know it's not G because every day is not hyphenated. So that leaves me with F, H, and J. So now I'm going to look at it. Every day as 2 words, it's a time. Okay. Every day as 1 word means it's common, ordinary, just everyday things. So now I'm going to look at my sentence. Each and every day, well, that's a time. So I'm going to look at H and J and ask myself, do I need a comma? Each and every day, each was on that list I told you about in a previous video, that it gives you a clue, introductory phrase. So where's the end of the introductory phrase? Each and every day, comma, my answer is J. Looking at 17, looking at the answer choices first, effects and effects. I know that effects with an E means result. Effects with an A means influence. When I read, you know I'm recording this. When I read the sentence, I'm going to read it and substitute in my mind the word influence and result to figure out which one it is. The carbon dioxide emissions from automobiles influence our atmosphere. Automobiles result our atmosphere. Nope. Okay, so now I have to go, is it singular or plural? Our subject is emissions. Okay, emissions is plural. So I need the plural verb, which is effect. Number 18, looking at my choices, I can see it's looking for right word. So I went down through here and said, these are really close. And that's what the ACT loves to do. A lot of these, you could go like, that doesn't even make sense. But when you just look at the words, contribute and attribute, it looks similar. And so you're like, oh, I'm just going to guess here. Well, when you look at the words, contribute means to add, which is what we need in the sentence. But attribute, that's what a person is like. And so your choices are going to be C, or G or J. And looking at the sentence, our atmosphere and contribute to the deterioration, or is contributed? No. Doesn't make sense, okay? You don't want past tense there, so it's going to be G. All right, number 19. Glancing at the answers first, I can see I'm going to have to read carefully because it's looking for long sentences. Public transportation to reduce the number of people driving cars. Public transportation increases. Carbon dioxide, all right, that's a difference there. I've got reduce here, increases here, as well as the number of cars. The use of public transportation will significantly decrease. I'm going to go ahead and cross that one out. Significantly decrease, that's just wordiness. Okay, we don't need that. Okay, so now I'm going to look at A, B, and C. Using public transportation is a significant way to decrease daily carbon dioxide emissions. Well, the word daily there, that I don't think is needed. So I'm going to cross out, ooh, A is the right answer. Okay, this is one of those that my strategy of just looking at the answers doesn't work. Because when I looked at it, I said, who needs daily? You're driving your car all the time, right? That's too wordy, you move it in. But when you go back and look at the paragraphs, It's actually talking about more than just one day, isn't it? And so you do need daily. And that strategy would have gotten that one wrong for me. So you do need daily there. In B, the public transportation part, right there, is causing problems. All right, this, again, reading the passage will give this to you. But when you look at B and C, public transportation in these sentences is the direct agent in reducing drivers on the road. That connection doesn't work with what was said at the beginning of the passage. D is not correct because it's in the future tense, and if you look at the beginning of the passage, it's in past tense. Okay? I do need you to be aware that, and I said this in a previous lesson, my strategy only works 7 out of 10 times. Okay? So that's still a really good score on the ACT. If you get 70% of them right, you're still looking at a 28 to a 29. But you are going to miss some doing that strategy. Okay? And I've been focusing on that strategy for you guys because most of you have told me, you know, you want a 21 or a 22. Well, you're going to get it with that strategy, but you will miss some, which is why I messed up right there, is because I was doing that same strategy and it did not work for this one. If you're one of those people that need a higher score than 70% of the test being correct, you're going to want to be careful about using that strategy. Okay. All right, number 20. Looking at the answer choices, I see whom, that, which. Okay. This is going to come after an object. It's an object pronoun, so it's going to come after a preposition. This is an object, and this also an object, but it's just used differently.
You say whom come after a preposition?
Oh. Typically in needed information. All right, look at our sentence. They would sit in traffic all morning alongside thousands of people who already drive with their vehicles. I'm like, what? I'm on the wrong question up here. For instance, imagine if all the people who ride the subway in New York try to drive to work. All right, this is our subject. So we got to cross out whom. It's talking about people, and these are both objects. So it would be F, okay, which is no change. That in which are going to refer to objects. That is going to be information that you have to have in the sentence, which is going to be information that it's not really needed. Okay. You're going to have a comma before which, typically. No comma before the word that. You could have just crossed those out, just knowing that and which had no comma, cross that one out. But I wanted to go through it using a different strategy that time, so that's kind of why I did it that way. All right, now I'm on the right one. Vehicles releasing. They would sit in traffic all morning alongside their thousands of people who already drive with their vehicles release fumes. All right, fumes, what are they doing? They're releasing. Okay, they didn't do it in past tense. When you look at the rest of the sentence, it's current. That's what they're doing right now, so it's be releasing. That leaves this one out and this one. B and D, is it vehicle or vehicles? When you look at the passage, it's vehicles, so it is B. Okay. When I look at the answer choices first, I'm going to actually have to look and see what it is I'm looking for. How would omitting? Omit means to delete. Kids are afraid of the word omit. 50% of the time, omit is the correct answer. In Minitest 1, there were 3 omit questions, and all of them were the correct answer. Okay? So don't be afraid of the word omit. It means to delete. So if you delete what's underlined, how does the sentence change? Okay? From point A to B. Well, do we really need point A to B? That being said, the most environment conscious way to travel is to ride a bike. Well, when you're traveling, you're going from one place to the other, aren't you? So you don't really need that. And that skill that you just learned is concise and clarity. It's very concise. Who needs to know A to B when you're traveling because you're going from A to B? 23. All right, looking at my choices, I'm looking for comma rules. So I go back over. Not only is it good for the environment, okay, but it also helps the reader stay fit. Nope. Okay, it's not an addition transition word. Okay, it is a contradiction, so it could be A, and yet doesn't fit either. So that leaves us with A and C. Now we have to figure out, do we need the comma? Not only is it good for the environment, that is an introductory phrase, so you've got to have your comma there. It's C. 24. It looks like I'm looking for verbs again. Riding a bicycle instead of driving a car is great exercise. Works? Nope. Is great exercise working multiple? That one's a maybe. Great exercise and working nope. Okay, that's going to create a fragment. So that leaves us with F and H. Now you've got to think about it. Here's your subject, riding a bicycle instead of driving a car. That's your subject part of your sentence. Is your verb. Great exercise, working here does not fit with the rest of the sentence. It changes tense, so you need F. Okay, that works you have to have that information. The word that tells the reader we need this information, and so you would keep it with no change. All right, 25. It looks like I'm looking for commas and verbs. ACT will do that a lot of times, combine commas with the verbs. Okay. Bicycling also exercises the heart, heart which makes, now that's too wordy, we're going to cross that one out. Heart and making the rider altogether more physically fit. No, because it's not a complete sentence. So let's look at A and C. Bicycling also exercises the heart. Well, that's true, but it's an introductory phrase. But it doesn't give us a comma, so let's look and see if it makes it into a compound subject, which it does. Remember, there's multiple ways to correct a sentence. For an English teacher, when I looked at this, I'm like, okay, I would have written it with an introductory phrase, but it doesn't give me that choice, so there's no comma. So the second way you could do it is a compound subject. It did that, so you find the one where the compound subject is there. This one's going to be hard to see. Let me see if I can. There we go. I'm looking at my answers. All right, I see then versus than. Then is a transition, okay? It compares. And then is a place in time. So I'm going to read it looking for both words. When on a bike, the rider is more aware of his or her surroundings than, I can't even pronounce it correctly, than when riding in a car. It's not then, because that's not like first, second, third. It's not then. It's than. Okay. So it's comparing two things. And so now you have to look, is it during driving or while driving? It's not during.
Wow.
It's while. Okay. A cyclist, our subject is cyclist. 27, I need the previous line first. Is significantly less likely to be distracted on the road. If more people rode bicycles, there would be fewer. Cyclist is singular, so I know that it is going to be A or D. More significantly, the comparison for more comes at the end, so you don't want that one. It's A. Looking at 28, I'm looking for conciseness. Okay, they're all about the same length. If more people rode bikes, there would be fewer accidents and fatalities because people who ride bikes are safer when compared. That's kind of wordy, so I'm going to cross that out. Bike riders are generally safer than. Than is correct in this case, so that one's a possibility. In this case, then it's not correct. Cross that out. People who are compared to, we don't need compared to, so that leaves us with G. Okay, I think I was on 29 before I had to
I ain't gotta write nothing
stay focused.
about the whole 20.
Looking at our answer choices, health while, health and health while, I know I'm looking for transitions. Okay. A bike, on the other hand, okay, comparison, is environmentally friendly, good for your health. It's not while because it's already got that transition, doesn't it? Okay. This is items in a series. Items in a series, the comma comes before the word and, so it is no change.
Oh.
All right, and the last one, remember what I said. If you don't read the passage, which we did not do as we went over these answers, and most of you did not do when you answered it. If you did not read the passage, there was one on here we couldn't answer. We got that wrong, or I did when I did the answer key. We couldn't answer without reading the passages. So on this one, you missed 2 out of 15, okay, because you didn't read the passage.
You say 10 or 2?
2. So again, that's a strategy you have to decide. If you don't read the passage, you have to go into this knowing you're going to miss a couple. Okay. On the previous passage, Minitest 1, we missed 1. Okay. That we couldn't answer without the whole passage. This one also can be answered without the whole passage. So we're going to miss this one unless you read it, which we don't have time to go through and read, so I'll just tell you why. The passage itself is persuasive. And so it's asking us which of the following is the best way to make a more convincing argument. Okay? And so we want something that is logically going to support the idea. And so when we look at our answers, they can include a paragraph about financial benefits. Okay? An entire paragraph. When you're writing a persuasive paragraph, you guys don't like to write, and so you want to get it done quickly. But in an argument, the more examples you have, the better. And so when you look at G, H, and J, G says a paragraph about financial benefits. That's a whole paragraph with another example explaining it. That's going to be what you want to do.